The adventure begins with Sinbad's ship arriving at the Rock of Gibraltar after his ship encountered a severe storm that took it far off the route of the Great Ocean, heading toward the lands of the Latins, where he wanted to deliver Alina. But in the morning, they found the headless body of one of their missing sailor colleagues, which terrified and astonished the sailors. They decided to go down to the shore, and after a long search, they found nothing except an old hut inhabited by an old woman. They asked her if they could rest there for a while, so she granted them permission. They told her that they found the headless body of one of the sailors and that they hadn't found any humans while wandering along the beach. They asked her why she lived alone in this area, so the old woman began to tell them her story. The widow Inayat lived near the beach with her son named Salam. In a small village with a group of simple fishermen, their livelihood came from the sea daily. Until a ship arrived, from which two people disembarked, a man and his daughter, who was veiled and bound in chains. The man introduced himself as Fakhr al-Din and his daughter as Janat. Tell them he left his country in Morocco after the king expelled him. Afterward, he sought the help of sorcerers to cast a spell that would turn his daughter into a fairy at the full moon. That's because she refused to be his mistress and mocked him in front of everyone for his ugliness. Then the king summoned her father to hand her over to him, bound in chains, and he ordered his soldiers to throw them on the shore and leave. The fishermen were terrified of the enchanted girl, so they decided to isolate her in one of the houses inside an iron cage, with the key kept by her father. Her father lived with her, isolated from people. The village youths would circle around the house every night, trying to catch a glimpse of the girl who piqued their curiosity, believing that her beauty was the reason the king had bound her in the spell, and they bet on who would enter her room and unveil her. Salam bin Hassan succeeded in that. The girl was terrified of him at first because he saw her outside the iron bars in the shower room. So he threw a cover over her, and she reassured him and told him that her father would untie her until the full moon approached, and then he would bind her again. And the girl cried because she had caused harm to her father, the elderly man, and lost her life as a young girl. She told Salem that there is a sorcerer named Al-Hakim al-Nuri who is capable of freeing her from the spell. Salem didn't tell the young people what he saw, but he told his mother. So she sympathized with the girl, brought her clothes, and prepared food for her and her father. Salem would go to them secretly so that no one from the village would see him. One night, the young men followed him to Janat's house, where her father had chained her in iron on the night of the full moon. The young men entered and were mesmerized by Janat's beauty. A fight broke out between them and Salem and her father after they untied her and tried to harass her. The young men gagged Salem, put him in a sack, and threw him into a well, and they killed her father, and the moon had been full. The girl transformed into a wolf and killed all the men in the village, except for Salem, and the other women. Then led to the mountains.